this match and still All Elite Wrestling World Champion, Jon Moxley.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
YouTube, what up? Welcome to another edition of Wrestling with Watts. I'm your host, Watts, and as you seen in the beginning of the video, we're definitely talking about Jon Moxley. We're talking about the AEW main event scene as a whole, but we're mostly going to talk about Jon Moxley, and we're going to talk about the Death Riders, I guess, in this conversation as well, because they're part of the problem. But my problem is that, real spill, the main event is not, and I'm repeat, it's not very exciting. And it's because, for starters, we already know that Moxley is probably going to win. But if you ask me, they need to take that title off that man ASAP. There's some people in this business that needs to be kept on a leash. And I say kept on a leash from a storyline perspective. Because, real spill, they should have never given that man creative control. And I know that this is all creative control on his end, because we've seen it before. The anti-establishment gimmick, the anti-establishment faction, and real spill, after a while you start to kind of take notice and realize that a lot of these guys that have this creative control, they don't really know what they're doing. A lot of times they need guidance. They need guidance because whatever they got going on over there is kind of, it's null and void. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those situations like when the tree falls in the forest and nobody hears, and the only reason why nobody hears is because nobody's in the forest. That's one of those situations right there, and I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like, it's getting bad. It's getting bad. There's no reason why Edge and Christian, along with Jon Moxley, should ever be in my main event. Not for the championship. Yes, all three are legends. I'm not taking anything away from any of those three's wrestling abilities, but it should be about building new stars. Under Jon Moxley being the world champion at this point, who has he elevated? Who has Copeland or Edge, or his mama named him Edge, I'm gonna call him Edge, but who has Adam Copeland elevated since being in AEW? Who has Jon Moxley elevated since being the champion this time around? It gets to the point where you start to forget the plot. It gets to the point where you start to forget why they're even beefing. You start to forget why Jon Moxley doesn't carry the AEW championship, which is a big part of being the world champion. All of this anti-establishment stuff, it kind of starts to get old. To me, this is the equivalent of when Bob Harley proposed that he wins the WWE championship and his gimmick would just be to beat everybody up. That's what I'm seeing from this, because I'm not saying that Moxley was dealt a good hand when he was in WWE, but his content and what he was doing and his gimmick was a lot more enjoyable than what it is in AEW. This man just bleeds a lot. He bleeds a lot, he's hardcore, and he's anti-establishment. Okay, what else? What else are we really talking about, and what else are we gonna do here? What else can we really do with this gimmick to elevate younger talent, to elevate talent that deserves to be in the main event but haven't gotten that opportunity yet? What happened with Powerhouse Hobbs? You know what I'm saying? I'm kind of, this is more of a knock on the fact that Tony Khan allows these guys to have creative control instead of putting his foot down and saying, nah, this is how we gonna do it. And maybe him putting his foot down and dictating things is probably not one of the greatest ideas neither, because real spill, he acts like these guys are just wrestling action figures, wrestling toys. I gotta collect them all, and then once I don't wanna, like Andy from Toy Story, I don't wanna play with you no more. Like, yeah, you got a big pop when you went from WWE to here, but we wasn't gonna do anything for you anyway. We wasn't gonna do anything to elevate your career. We're just gonna throw a bunch of money at you, which is not bad, by the way, if that's what you're on. We're going to throw a lot of money at you. We're going to lock you into a 4-year contract. And we're going to only probably use you for the first 6 months that you're in AEW. And that's about it. No main events, no championships, nothing. We just want you on the roster so WWE or no other company, New Japan, won't have you, even though they have a pretty decent working relationship. That's what I see from all of this. And correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe I'm the crazy one. But real spill, I'm not liking this. It's dirt. and I'm honestly letting Chris Jericho live right now because he's no better. Because who has that man elevated in his time in AEW? Actually, not as the ROH World Champion. Who has he elevated in AEW except Darby Allin? And he barely did that. I don't know, man. I'm just kind of pointing out flaws. But what I'll say is that until they take that championship off Jon Moxley, AEW is not going to be enjoyable for its main event. Because the main event is for the casual guys, the people who don't watch wrestling all the time or watch AEW. I'm an AEW casual. I know what's going on, but I'm not catching every episode every Wednesday. And I'm going to keep it real with y'all. This is why. Take that title off Jon Moxley ASAP, Tony Khan, if you see this. I mean, yo, depending on where the video goes, you might see it. But, ladies and gentlemen, if you stayed for the entire video, thank you. And if you didn't, thank you. And if you didn't even see the video, thank you. I appreciate it. And for those who are here, thank you for help growing the channel. I certainly appreciate it. We're going to get more into this as time goes on. I got to see more, but I feel like I saw enough. And I saw enough as far as Jon Moxley being the champion. But ladies and gentlemen, I am out. Peace.